Hello everyone. Today we would start our discussion on optical waveguides. Optical waveguides are nothing but optical fibers, and they are basically cables. And cable is designed in such a way so that we would be able to guide the electromagnetic waves inside the cable in whatever way we would like to. Okay, so cable is designed basically with the use of two materials. The inside of the cable is of different material of refractive index N1, and the outside of the cover is made up of another material of refractive index N2, such that N1 is more than N2, which means that the inside is a denser medium and outside is a rarer medium. Because of this, what happens that there exists a critical angle which would be defined like sine phi c. Phi c is the critical angle and is given by N2 by N1. So if I draw the two boundaries like this, then we can see that if a electromagnetic wave that gets incident on one of the boundaries, and if the angle of incidence happens to be more than phi c, the critical angle, then what would happen, that it would just reflect, totally internally reflect, and making again an angle phi, it would turn back. And if the two boundaries that we have drawn, if both are parallel to each other, you can very well visualize that even this angle would be phi. It is again more than phi c, so it would again get reflected back like this, and so the ray would never be able to cross these two boundaries. It would always be confined within these two boundaries. So we can say that the electromagnetic wave which would get caught between these two boundaries would, you can guide them as you wish. So that is why we call this as optical wave guide. Now this in a cylindrical kind of a nature, if I call this as, let's say, the R parameter, then so R goes from 0 to infinity in cylindrical coordinates, and if I plot nr in this direction versus R, you can see that for till the radius of the inside the core, the n would be n1, and beyond that it would become n2. So this is n1 and this is n2. So this is also called step index fiber, because the refractive index is varying as a step function. So it is called step index fiber. In order to analyze this propagation of electromagnetic waves inside this kind of a waveguide, what we do is we generally consider a simpler situation, simpler model, and we call that as planar waveguide. Planar waveguide is a simpler model. It is not visualized as a cable or cylindrical shape. It is assumed that, let's say that this is the x-axis. We consider this in Cartesian coordinates. So this is the x-axis, and the boundaries of the cable are nothing but infinite planes. And let us say that the two boundaries are symmetrically placed across the z-axis. So this is x-axis, the z-axis, and the two boundaries are placed symmetrically about the z-axis. And so if the distance between them is d, let's say, then this would be at x equal to minus d by 2, and this would be at x equal to plus d by 2. So these two are infinite planes, but we would be considering only waves which are moving along the z direction. We are not concerned about the waves which would be moving outside this plane. So we are, let's say, theoretically interested and focused only on those waves which would move only in this plane, and this plane is basically a zx plane. Y is this, y axis is this axis. So yz planes are the boundaries. The boundaries are yz planes, infinite yz planes. But this so this is called planar waveguide. Now again we consider that this is of refractive index n1, and the outside the refractive index are n2. Okay, so we mathematically will write that n as a function of x is equal to n1 for x more than minus d by 2 and less than d by 2, but nx is equal to n2 for x more than d by 2 and for x less than minus d by 2. So in these two regions, nx is n2. So n is now a function of x. It is not a constant. It is a function of x. We can also plot the n versus x diagram in this case. So this is x-axis, and this is, let us say, nx. So you can see from here itself that between minus d by 2 to plus d by 2, nx would be equal to n1, and since we have decided that the inside would be denser medium, so outside that it would become n2 and it would be smaller than that. So nx, you can see that it is symmetric about x-axis, which means that n at minus x is going to be n at x. So we have assumed, we have chosen our axis, z-axis, in such a way, and origin in such a way that n becomes symmetrical about x-axis. Now if I move further, and we know that n, the refractive index, is written as the velocity of light or the electromagnetic waves in vacuum divided by velocity of light in a medium, and that is the refractive index of the medium. So this, according to the theory of electromagnetic waves, c is nothing but 1 by mu naught epsilon naught, and cm would be 1 by mu epsilon. And so if I say that all the material that we will be considering here, and it is generally the case that all these optical materials are non-magnetic in nature, and non-magnetic means that all mu's would be equal to mu naught. So whether it is the medium's mu or the vacuum mu, both would be same. So in that sense I can write this as mu naught epsilon divided by mu naught epsilon naught, which is nothing but epsilon by epsilon naught, and we can write this epsilon as epsilon naught, the absolute permittivity, into the relative permittivity divided by absolute permittivity, and so n is equal to epsilon r. We have already derived this earlier also, okay, but let me do it again. So epsilon r is nothing but n square. Epsilon r would be n square. So epsilon in our case is going to be epsilon naught into n square, because n square is er, epsilon r. So this would be, but we should keep in our mind that n now it's not a constant, it is depending on x. So E is equal to, epsilon is equal to epsilon naught into n as a function of x square. Okay, so we'll have to keep this in our mind, that n now onwards would not be considered as a constant. Okay, now to further move into the understanding of waveguide, we would consider the Maxwell's equation. Maxwell's equation, we know that we have 4 of them. Del dot D is equal to rho. Del dot B is equal to 0. Del cross E is equal to minus del B by del T, and del cross H is equal to J plus del D by del T. So this is our standard Maxwell's equation, but in order to apply this in our case of waveguide, in the waveguides we know that rho and J, we can take them equal to 0, because we would say that there are no free charges and free currents, let us say, in the two medium that we will be considering, and so rho and J can be safely put equal to 0, and so our equations would become del dot D equal to 0, del dot B was already equal to 0, del cross E can be written as minus, B can be written as mu into H, but mu would be taken as mu naught because we are considering non-magnetic material, and all non-magnetic material will have mu equal to mu naught. So mu naught delta H by delta T, and the fourth equation is del cross H equal to J0. So d by dt of d, and d is nothing but epsilon into E. Epsilon is, now we have already derived, epsilon is nothing but epsilon naught n square E. So del cross H would become epsilon naught n square. You can take out because this differentiation is not with respect to x but with respect to t. So n would be a constant over here. So d by dt of E. And so these are the 4 equations now in our case. So in order to derive the wave equation for our waveguide, the general rule is that we'll take curl of the third equation. So curl of E is equal to minus mu naught del by del T of curl of H. Which is minus mu naught. Curl of H, we have already this equation expression. So mu naught into epsilon naught n square and d2E by dt2. This del cross E from vector algebra is nothing but del dot E minus del square E. Okay, so this is our wave equation. What is del dot E? I mean, it appears as if since del dot D is 0, we can put del dot E as 0, but it will not be the case because del dot D in this particular situation is indeed 0, but if you expand this, del dot D would become del dot with epsilon E, and this is del with epsilon is epsilon naught n square E. Epsilon naught is a constant, it can be taken out, but n square you cannot take out because the differentiation is with respect to space also. So n is depending on x, so you cannot take n square out of this. So you'll have to keep this intact, del dot of this much, and which means that it is equal to epsilon naught del of n square dot E plus n square into del dot E. And since this side you have 0, you can see that you can calculate, you can derive del dot E. Del dot E would be equal to 1 by n square with a minus sign, and del n square dot E. And here we require del of that much, which means that we can write for this wave equation, we can say that it is del of what? Del dot E. So del of minus n square del n square dot E minus del square E equal to minus mu naught epsilon naught n square d2E by dt2. Now this is going to be our wave equation for the waveguide. No, we did derive this equation, but it's not very easy to solve this, to find out E from this equation. So all the exercise that we have done would not be able to take us anywhere. So how to move forward? What we do is we generally use some common sense and the analysis, the understanding of the situation, and then we would try to extract information and to find out that what would be the solution of this. Okay, one thing that we realize, that since we would be considering waves which are moving more or less in the z direction, it would be actually moving like this, just as shown in this diagram, but the movement is along the z direction only. And since we have fixed our problem to one y plane, this either y equal to 0 plane or anything, because this plane is for a fixed y, a y equal to constant plane. So for a fixed constant y plane, we are trying to find out a wave which is moving in the z direction. So the solution of this would be expected like this: Ey, because E is fixed for a y, will have some constant E0y, just as we have the equation wave representation of the electromagnetic waves. So Ey is E0y, and e to the power I omega t minus, it is moving in the z direction, so you'll have to have a z like this, and k is something that is not very clear in our understanding, so we'll call that as some effective k as kg. So what is this equation representing? This equation is representing the solution of this, which is for a fixed value of fixed y plane. This would be, this constant could be a function of x, because n is a function of x, so the solution would also be a function of x. But the wave nature, since we have considered this to be moving along the z direction only, so we have considered minus kgz as the effective representation of this wave. So Ey is this, and h would also be of the similar nature. So hy would also be, h0y, that would also be a function of x, e to the power I omega t minus kg z. If this is, this is a guess kind of a work that we have done, because we know that the solution would have to be of this form itself. There is no other way that the wave which would be moving in the z direction in a y plane, in which the x is making a difference in terms of n. So this is a possible. We don't know how this is depending on x. We don't know what is the value of kg. So at this point of time, kg is something that is unknown. This function is something that is unknown. But if I can somehow determine the this function and kg, then we would have some understanding of the wave that would be moving in this planar waveguide. So now onwards we would try to focus on how to get the nature of E0yx and H0yx and kg in this problem. Okay, so I think in the next lecture we would start from this point and see how we would use the Maxwell's equation and use this representation to find out the functions E0yx kg, H0yx kg. Thank you.